sports fans from all around the globe. I am your host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and this is the Breakfast Bankroll, where we go over everything soup to nuts, overnight openers, morning openers, where the line's going, what to look for. We cover everything from Cape Cod to Cancun, from Tampa to Taipei, from Vegas to the Vatican. We got you covered from start to finish. As we get ready for week 8 in the NFL. Sunday fun day, as I like to say here at ECSI. An amazing day yesterday for us in college football. I'm going to bring Scott on in a second. Our VIP clients went 4-0. I broke down a handful of those games with you guys here yesterday. Anyone that was watching early, I talked about Rutgers money line at noon, and then broke down the two first half games that we really liked, and they were both box to wire blowouts with App State first half and Okie State first half as well. And then myself and Scott, I threw some soft lobs out there, asking him his thoughts on Houston, which was an amazing finish there. Fresno State for the late game, kind of a box to wire, pretty easy game against San Diego State. And the only blip on the radar was Colorado State, who got out early against Boise State and ran out of gas. But without further ado, my man from Tampa himself, the one and only Mr. Scott Webb. What is happening, Scotty?
Morning, Jeff. How are you today?
I'm doing very well. Got some news today, this morning, which stings. Rest in peace, Jerry Remy. He was a great Red Sox. I kind of reminded me of myself at second base, the little guy, the engine that could, just gritty, really played hard, nose to the grindstone. I remember him well in that 78 year in the playing game, well, the wild card game, however you want to call it nowadays, against the Yankees, but really flourished when he got into the Nesson booth with Don Orsello and the Rem Dog, beat cancer 6 times. And on the 7th time it got him, he will be missed but never forgotten. But how are you today, sir?
Well, it's Halloween, right? And got all the decorations out. It's my wife's favorite holiday. We went out last night, decorated and all masked up, and she went and got all her makeup done. And, we looked like a bunch of evil monsters, but ready for a Sunday after a day where I was -1 on college football yesterday. And that one game was the flipping game where I was positive or negative was that stupid Florida State end where I had him on the under, and then all the crap, I'll throw the ball all over the place with 4 seconds to go, try to make something happen, and then the other team scores, and the game goes over the total based off of that number. So, that's the way it works sometimes, right?
I've had, and you obviously, everyone in these lanes that play in these games for as long as we have, I have a million bad beats. Just like everyone else. And I had a few people reach out this morning saying that's the worst bad beat ever. I remember a handful of years ago, a Monday night game. Kansas City, I think, was playing Washington, and Washington did the same thing. And Kansas City picked up the fumble and got the touchdown for the cover. But the one that really, really stings me the most, I think, was about a half dozen years ago. ECSI had released UCLA, I want to say they were +6 at Stanford. Josh Rosen was the quarterback back then for UCLA. And it was the last play of the game. I think they were down 4 and they were on the 50. So Rosen stepped back for the Hail Mary and got blindsided. And the Stanford lineman picks up the ball and rumbles for a touchdown. uh, to, to cover the game and end the game. So you remember all those bad beats. We don't really remember the ones that we got lucky on as much. So, as I talked in the opener, we had an amazing day. We're the VIPs are 6-0 this weekend. We went 2-0 Friday night and 4-0 yesterday on graded plays. We're up 2.35 for the week. If the Braves win tonight, we win a quarter on the series. If it goes on further and the Astros miraculously come back, we win 45 cents on the series. We're all set there. And I don't like to be Debbie Downer, but for us, the grind is Monday through Saturday, and today is Sunday fun day. It's action parlay. For me, I took the 35 cents. We sent out a 3-team parlay that's paying 4.33 to 1. Okay. I'm collecting my 2 units. It's one of those weeks that looked bleak. Okay.
Mhm.
Grinding. You go through the process. Grind. You hit a heater at 6-0. Now Envelope Monday is 12 hours away. We're grateful. So we took a stab at 1:00 and we took 2 stabs at 8:00, one in the World Series and then one in the late game, which we'll get into. But Scotty, NFL board is yours. I'll bring up the Bible and I'll let you talk what you're seeing in the NFL today.
Yeah, I think that I like yesterday. I was pretty excited. I thought the college board was pretty fun. There was a lot of good games yesterday, and some of the games played out pretty good. That Michigan State Michigan game played out pretty good. Not that I would have bet on Michigan if I was betting, but I mean it was still a great game. And Ohio State and Penn State played a pretty good game, and stuff like that. So I mean it was a good day of college football and a good day of matchups. And then you come out here to the college or the NFL slate today, and you got the Buffalo Bills are minus 14.5, and the Rams are minus 16.5, and the Bengals are minus 12 and stuff. I'm like, what the hell? So you don't really have the best of matchups today, but you got a couple of interesting ones. And I'm going to be and I already bet it. So I took the Indianapolis Colts today over the Tennessee Titans. I think the line that I got was minus 3. And the reason there's a couple of things going on here that's kind of interesting. It's a good situational spot for the Colts, and it's a bad situational spot for the Titans. But the Colts over the last the way I broke the numbers into from week 3 to week 8, so the last 4 games, the Colts are one of the best football teams going right now. And I get it. Everybody's all impressed with what the Titans have done. So this is a great spot for the Colts. And then when I started looking at the numbers, and it kind of looks to me like the money and the tickets are all on the Titans. And I'm like, that's great. But the number keeps moving up for the Colts. So that tells you that, the right people are on the Colts, or I shouldn't say right people, the people that think they know what they're doing are on the Colts. And I think it's just a good play. So I went with the Colts. My numbers tell me that the Colts, and they tell me that the game should go over the number, but I'm not going to play the over. I'm just going to play the Colts today. So that was game number 1 that I kind of was interested. I heard the horn, so I guess that means you're on them too, right?
Yeah, that was part of our parlay. We got the money line. Just win, baby. Just win, baby. So the horn is yes, we are in agreement there.
Well, there you go. So the other game that I liked that came out, and you may or may not agree with me on this one, but I like the Patriots today. I like them against the Chargers. I think the Patriots are getting overlooked here. One of the things that I think that is kind of interesting, when I started looking at the numbers and I broke them out, I broke them out like I said, for week 3 through week 7, so the last 4 weeks, the EPA numbers on these games it's unbelievable. So the New England ranks 14th in offense on EPA, and when you think about the Chargers, you think about how great their offense is, but they rank 11th. So that's not much difference. And then on defense, New England ranks 23rd, and the Chargers rank 20th. Now, if you go back and you look at this over the course of the season, and I did this through NFL Outsiders, the DVOA numbers. The New England offense is 15th, and the Chargers offense is 11th, and then the defense is 14th for New England and 16th for the Chargers. So I started thinking, boy, this is a lot closer game than what you might think. And then when I started looking at numbers and how all that stuff kind of goes, at the time, it was a pretty 50-50 split on the money, but the tickets are all on the Chargers. So it tends for me to believe that this is probably a better solution and a better way to go. And when I bet this game, I think the game is 4 or 4.5 right now. Because
it opened at 6. Overnight, there was a lot of Patriot money coming in, and it's the ticket counts don't show that. I'm showing a 54% tickets on Chargers, 55% money coming in on Chargers. Yet the line literally overnight is dropped to 4 on the Vegas Strip, and then online 4.5s. So there was a pretty big move on the Patriots overnight.
Yeah, I got the Patriots at 4.5. I know that it's not 6, but at the same time, in terms of key numbers, it's basically the same number. So I was okay with that as long. And so I played New England plus the 4.5. I played the Colts -3. And then the last play, I just can't get off of it. And maybe you can, well, it's too late now. I already bet it. But I was going to say, maybe you can talk the listeners off of it. But I played Seattle today because I just can't see them not handling Jacksonville in Seattle. And I know Geno Smith's the quarterback, and I know that it's a little different scenario. But the reality here is that they're going to run the football. And Seattle or Jacksonville, they're the 32nd ranked defense. So I can't not take the Seattle Seahawks today. And I played them. I got them at when I bet it was -3.5. I know it's -4 now. So, I'll list it as -4 for the for our show for the grading of it. But I can't get off of that game. I think Seattle's defense is good enough to hold the Jacksonville offense in bay, and I think that the Jacksonville's their defense is just not strong enough to handle anything that Seattle can throw at them.
Sundays are to all the newbies here listening. Thank you. Please follow us at EC Sports Invest and Webby20 MLB. Our job is to educate as much as possible, answer any questions that you guys throw at us. But I think really what you got to understand is in the NFL, it stands for any given Sunday. So like you said, and you were spot on, Scotty. Yesterday's menu for the college games was amazing. There were some great matchups, and the games played out great. I mean, while the World Series is going on, I'm back and forth. I was glued to the Penn State-Ohio State game. Earlier that day, I told you I was really, really nervous about Georgia, just those guts, my gut feeling. And Florida played their ass off. And literally, if you went to the bathroom for 5 minutes and came back, you blinked, Georgia put up 3 touchdowns in a blink of an eye. And that's how good their defense is. So now you come here, and I don't want to say it's a letdown, but I'm going to tell you it's a letdown. I mean, these are paid professional athletes where anything can happen today. Anything. I've seen 17-point favorites lose outright, just like you. So I go to the board from last night to today, and I can tell everyone listening here what happened overnight. Okay, some are true, some are false. Okay, meaning they want you to follow the money. They want you to think that the sharp side's on this side when they're kind of baiting you because they're looking for some action on some games. I like to say the game got stale. Okay. So again, you're riding Buffalo. That's all the way through 15 now. That's what they want you to do. You're seeing some buyback in Carolina right now on the Atlanta game. I will tell you, everyone here, the Lions are the public trendy dog. Philly sucks. They have been nothing but heartbreakers. Their offense is putrid. They want you to play Detroit today. I'm not telling you the Lions can't win because they've been right there so many times this year. They just find ways to lose. I'm not telling you Philly's going to win this game. I'm telling you, Vegas wants you to take the Lions, though. Okay. Yes, we're on Indy. I think it's a great spot. We talked about their first 5 games, now to their next 5 games. This team's molding into form. Carson Wentz is healthier. Defense is playing great. I love the Indy today to win. Can't do anything with the Rams in Houston. What are you going to do with Cincy and the Jets? Again, you would expect. When's the last time you saw Cincy 11-point road favorites? You know, you're supposed to take the Jets, but if you sent me $100 and told me to play the Jets, I'd send you $200 back and tell you to take the wife out for breakfast or lunch because I can't play the Jets either. Pittsburgh, Cleveland, a coin toss. San Fran, Chicago. Chicago's got no head coach, no OC, and this is probably the game that they'll do well. Jacksonville, Seattle. I lean Jacksonville just because they're playing better. But as you said, Seattle might run the ball 35 times today and just play keep away there. Money coming in on the Pats. Now, we have the Patriots in our Circa Millions contest, okay? I don't like this move, and I really don't. And the Chargers lost to the Patriots 45-0 at San Diego last year. And so they've had 2 weeks to get ready for this game. So I played the Pats in the Circa Millions. I don't like the overnight move, meaning they're kind of trying to bait you right now to take the Pats and follow the money there. Washington, Denver, slight lean Washington, but I wouldn't play that game. And Tampa, New Orleans. Again, it's a great spot for New Orleans, but, you know, Tampa lost to them twice in the regular season and won the game that mattered. I don't know which Jameis is going to show up. The number right now, the under's down to 48 and a hook. So what's this going to tell you? 26, 22, something like that. So whatever. The game I really want to highlight is Dallas, Minnesota. Okay. Dallas opened up 2-point favorites. Word got out. Dak is still a little hurt with the calf. Vegas flipped that line to 2.5. It did hit 3 earlier in the week. Now it's to 2.5. And Minnesota at Pinnacle is 2.5. 101 on the juice, which means next line is to 2. So let's be realistic here, Scotty. When Vegas flipped that number, their sources is telling you Dak's not playing. Now I think what they're trying to do is entice you to say, well, there's a possibility he's a game time situation, game time decision. So everyone's going to run to the window and taking Dallas here. Take Dallas. I can get him at 2.5, 2.5. I'm telling everyone this, okay? Dak's not playing. If he plays, God bless him. Vegas doesn't flip a number that quick because they would get just onslaughted right now. Dallas. You can get them plus 130 on the money line. Never mind plus the 2.5. They don't flip that unless they're pretty sure that Dak's not going to play. That's just my 2 cents. And it happens to be the 8 o'clock game where everyone, if they're getting killed, is just going to keep punching tickets. Vegas made a stand here. They're saying, hey, you want Dallas? We're giving to you plus 130 on the money line. We're giving you plus 2.5. Come to the window. Hey, crowded line will open up another one. That's just my 2 cents there, Scotty.
Yeah, but it makes sense though, right? I mean, what you got to read into why things happen, right? So even if you're handicapping this game and you're valuing points and you're trying to determine what points are worth what, you're right now they're telling you that the Cowboys were -2. Now they're +2.5. So that means that you're sitting there looking at Dak Prescott being worth 4.5 to 5 points in this game. And is that really a true thing, or is that not a true thing? Quarterbacks um, certainly impact NFL games. They impact college games, but maybe not as much. They certainly impact NFL games. Look at what Seattle is without Russell Wilson. I mean, it's holy crap. So but at the same side as that, the Cleveland Browns are not so drastically different without Baker Mayfield. So these guys in the points do matter, and what they're worth does matter. It's just a matter of what somebody's trying to sell to you. And if you sit there and think about, well, what are the Cowboys going to do without Dak Prescott? The bigger question is what are the Vikings going to do at full strength? I mean, I think that one of the biggest things that has surprised me in this year's NFL is the improvement of the Dallas Cowboys defense. We talked at the beginning of the season, and I did a show with someone, JB or whatever, and I was given the task of handling the NFC East. I'm like, oh God, what a division this is. So as I talked about it and I broke it down, I just told everybody there's nothing you can do in this conference or this division. You can't do anything except bet Cowboys, and if you bet Cowboys, you're playing in as a favorite number, and it's just not a good bet. However, having said all of those things, the one thing that I remember saying specifically is that the Cowboys offense is one of the better ones in all of football. And none of the other teams in that conference or division are going to have anything remotely close to resembling that. But I also remember saying that the Cowboys' Achilles heel is going to be their defense, and that the defense is what keeps them as a slightly better than mediocre team, right? So now I sit here and look at it, and when I pulled up the numbers over the last 4 weeks, they rank fifth in defense. Of course, what you don't realize is Minnesota ranks third, and I didn't realize that. I get it. Minnesota's a good football team, but I didn't know they were ranking third in defense on EPA, and then because for the season they rank sixth in DVOA, so that's a pretty good defense. They're going to get that Dallas is going to have to face against Minnesota. And I kind of like what you're talking about with the idea that they're trying to bait people in and get them to bet on Dallas. And I like the idea here that the Vikings probably are the right side, and especially at -2.5. That's a good wager.
And I'll be 100% honest with you and all the listeners here. I liked Minnesota plus the 2.5 before Dak went out. I'm not trying to say that Dallas was due for a loss. I mean, listen, they're 6-1 outright. They're 7-0 against the spread. I just liked the matchup for Minnesota. Cousins is playing well. Dalvin's healthier. You got the 1-2 punch there with Madison. You got Jefferson and Thielen. And I thought it was a real good spot for Minnesota, and more of not a desperation, but they need the game more. So I was already on the Vikings. Now you're going to tell me that Dak's not going to play. Well, I'm going to be on them even more right now. And you're right. Russell Wilson, if he was playing at Pittsburgh a few weeks ago, Pittsburgh was 2.5-point favorites. As soon as Russell was out, Pittsburgh became 5-point favorites. Seattle last week were 5-point underdogs at home to the Saints. And so, Dak is worth that 5 or 6 points. And yes, you are correct. One of the shining moments for Dallas all year has been the defense. Diggs has got like 6, 7 interceptions. He's taken a handful to the house. They're a great team, but we saw what they were last year without Dak. So again, I'm not telling anyone to run to the window and put the mortgage or the rent or anything like that, because if Dak doesn't play, I think you're going to see a strong dose of Zeke and Pollard and some Dinkin and Duncan, and just don't make mistakes. And our defense will keep you in there. So that total of 52, you could have a 24-20 game or something like that. But the backup's not going to be Dak and be running the 40-yard outs to CeeDee Lamb or to Amari Cooper.
No, you're right. I mean, I just thought that was a good take, and especially a good take on why the numbers are moving and why things happen, because I don't think people really look into a lot of that. I think that they don't understand that there is a bait and hook kind of scenario that goes on, and they just try to think of it in another way. So even when you try to figure it out, you just have to keep asking yourself questions. And the truth is that, yes, we're speculating because you don't know unless you're behind the book and you know what's going on. But when you've done it for the length of time that you have and the situations are what they are, the truth comes down to, well, I've seen this before. And when I've seen this before, this is what happened. And as that develops and goes, you create in your mind, or you create a notebook, or you have whatever you have that sits there and says, well, this situation matches that pretty well. And I think this is what they're doing. One thing I did notice here, Jeff, is it looks like the Cleveland Browns are getting some money right now. That number looks like it's all the way up to 5.5 in some places now.
5 at Westgate, 5 at DraftKings, 5.5. Yeah, Pinnacle moving it up to 5.5, juiced at -103. Bet online to 5.5, juiced to 108. Again, a number that opened at 2.5, and that 2.5 number, only the sharps saw. You were looking at 4.5 when you got this game. Baker Mayfield is playing. So again, and also Nick Chubb, the return of Nick Chubb as well. So what I talked about a few minutes ago, I'm going to reiterate. A lot of times people aren't doing their homework throughout the week like we do. These lines open up on Sunday night, Monday morning. So we've watched them now for 5-6 days. Someone just jumps on and turns this on. They start to follow the money. And so again, you really got to use your spidey senses and say to yourself, what's real and what's not real. I mean, I guarantee you there's a lot of people running to the window right now, pounding Cleveland. They're seeing this move here and they're like, oh shit, I better get on Cleveland now. And it's a divisional game. Pittsburgh and Ben have done very, very well history-wise against Cleveland. So just buyer beware there. That's all, because a lot of these moves, some are correct. They are. But some of them are just, I like to say this, Scotty, are you buying the sizzle or the steak? And that's a lot of times what you really got to, you got to tell yourself when you go into that window, okay, is this the banana in the tailpipe or not?
Yeah. I mean, it's and the truth is, it's not always easy to figure it out. I mean, there's the sports books have been around, and they put these numbers out, and they're pretty good at what they do. And when it comes to the NFL, because everybody bets the NFL, these are the trickiest games, because the truth is that there's a lot of weird stuff that happens in these games, and it's not necessarily. I'm not trying to say that there's shady stuff going on. It's just this. It's any given Sunday. It's a perfect and way to say it. And there's only 17 of these. Well, there was 16. Now there's 17. So I just think it's an interesting thing, and obviously we always enjoy betting the NFL and how we do things, but I think that your common guy who comes in and just wants to have a good time over the weekend and bet these games doesn't understand exactly what he's betting into. And I always use the term sports betting is just like poker. So when you play poker, it's all math and obviously a feel, but it's mostly math, right? So if you have I don't know, we'll just say it's a set. Your hand's going to win this hand likely 70% of the time. Your hand's going to win. You ought to be betting and betting and betting. And then as the board changes, then your hand gets stronger or it gets weaker. So then you got to bluff it, or you've got to figure it out whether you're going to actually go and get to a showdown and hope you win, right? So that's what the sports books do. They do the same thing. They're at a point where they go, okay, we're at a point where we got to bluff this line or we're in trouble. So that's what they do, right? And then that gets more action and more things involved, and that mitigates losses and it helps them cover things. But you as a gambler, it's all percentages. So if you have a pot that's out there and it costs you a chance, it costs you, I don't know, we'll just say it's a 1 in 5, right? So we'll just say there's $100 in the pot and you got to put $20 out there to stay in the hand. So that's 1 in 5. If your hand that you're holding isn't going to win 1 in 5% of the time, based on the next card that comes out, you got to throw it away. It doesn't. That's a bad bet. But people, so what do? Right? The next card that you're looking at, you need is a card for a straight, right? So that you got 4 outs. 4 outs out of the 48 cards that that are out there. That gives you, your 1 in 8 chance or whatever it is. So as you're looking at it, you've got 1 in 8 chance, and you got a 1 in 5. You got to pay to the pot. So you're making a bad bet if you actually pay into it, which is the same thing that happens in these games. If you don't know what your winning percentage is based off of the number that's there, that's where they get you. And if you don't understand those things, you got to get it a little deeper so that you get there as you can move forward.
So just duly note this. The 2 biggest moves right now is Cleveland, where at Pinnacle Bet Online are now up to 5.5, and the Patriot game. Pinnacle Bet Online and Bookmaker now at 3.5. So when we come back tomorrow, those are the 2 games that we're going to initially highlight. Which steam was right and which steam was wrong. And but I'm going to change.
Hopefully it was the one with the Patriots.
Yeah, me too. And the Circa Millions. We're going to close out here with a brief talk about the World Series again. Atlanta's up 3-1. Nice rally with back-to-back homers last night from Dansby and from Soler. And it's funny, we gave out a couple pizza and beer pre-flop MVPs. And when one of them I gave out was Jock Peterson. We had talked about the split between Jock and Soler. And we put out like 4 or 5 of them, a couple of the pitchers just for shits and giggles, the Chalk Freeman. There's a couple more there. But when I chose Jock and I looked at Soler at 35-1 or plus 3,500, I got that little pit in my stomach. Like sometimes you're like, he hasn't played all playoffs. Here he comes. He's going to lead off. And what's he do? The first game, second pitch of the World Series, he hits a homer. And then what's he do last night? He hits another homer. No idea who the MVP is right now. I mean, the kid out in left field that was on fire coming into the series, and now I'm drawing a Rosario, is just making plays. So it'll be interesting. But do or die, Atlanta 7-0 at home against at home playoffs. This playoffs here, 815 rotation number 959, 960. Houston opened up -115. now minus 112. Valdez posted for Houston, still undecided for Atlanta. This is would have been ground chuck, it looks like. I don't think they move Freed up here. I don't know. Give us a
Maybe
break.
another bullpen day.
Okay, so give us a breakdown on what you think, where you lean, or what might happen tonight.
Well, my opinion is that the more you see these pitchers, the least effective they are. And this will be the second time now for Framber Valdez to go through this lineup for the Braves. And he wasn't spectacular the first time. He's typically pitched a good game and then a bad game and then a good game and a bad game. So he's kind of due for a good game. That said, though, I think the momentum is all with the Braves. I think the Braves are going to want to do everything they can to close this game out. I don't think they want to go back to Houston and try to win another one in Houston. Can Houston get swept here? I think they can. I think as the course of the season goes, if I remember right, the damn Detroit Tigers swept the Houston Astros. So, you can get to a point where stuff happens. And when I looked at this earlier, I like to look at team numbers, not individual numbers. And when I looked at it, all the offensive numbers favor Atlanta in the series. They're all hitting as compared to what the Astros were. And when we came into this, we talked about how this was going to be offense versus pitching, right? I mean, we talked about it, and we said whether it was Houston or whether it was Boston, both of those teams were hitting coming in, and now they're going to face a different level of pitching. And what's really interesting, and we talked about this too, these teams haven't faced each other in a long damn time. And that has proven, and just like yesterday, remember we talked about Kyle Wright, and we said, hey, he was a good pitcher. He just hasn't pitched a whole lot, and he hasn't done a whole lot. The kid went out there and pitched 4 1/3 or 4 2/3 innings, did great. And that was probably just as most effective as anything else they could have done yesterday, because they didn't have to have 3 more bullpen guys throw. I was amazed at who they started in that game, but it doesn't matter. I mean, they're going to look for the length out of somebody, and who they can get length out of today is Smiley. They can get Smiley with some length if they want to, and the Astros don't have a choice. If they get behind, they're going to throw whoever they can walk out there that they can. I mean, they're just going to throw anybody. So what's the advantage? Well, the advantage goes to the Braves, because the Braves have seen almost all their pitchers now. And it's not that the Braves bullpen hasn't been seen by Houston either, but the starter has a better chance of going longer, I think for it. And it's going to sound silly, for Atlanta. Now, if that's the bulk guy, if Smiley comes out and he pitches after the opener, you're going to expect him to go 4 or 5 innings, just like what happened with Kyle Wright yesterday. And then you just hope the offense comes through at some point in time. And I think that's going to be the same games you have today. And I don't think Framber Valdez is good enough to be that stopper guy that they're looking for. You don't have Verlander or Cole coming out and going, okay, we got stoppers. The momentum's over, because Framber Valdez. Remember, we talked about him. He's the ground ball guy. He gets ground balls. He's not a strikeout machine. Plus, he's left-handed, and then the Braves have been really hitting left-handed pitchers. So, if I'm doing anything, I'm going to ride Braves all the way. And we talked about it at the beginning. I think that you double dip anytime you can get the Braves as a dog, and I think that you play them in the series, and then you let it go from there. Just like we talked about the strategy with the Astros and the Red Sox. It was bet every game over. Just bet every one of them, and you're going to be fine. I think only one of them went under. So as you go through all that stuff, I think that that's kind of how you play the series, and you don't And unless something major happens, you don't really waver from what your thoughts are at the beginning. And I think now, especially when you have the advantage, not that you necessarily double down on anything, but I mean, you take your little pot shots here and there because, if I'm looking at it like, shit, I'm in really good shape, 3-1. But if I lose this game tonight, it's 3-2, and I got to go win at least one in Houston. Now I get it. I have my pitchers back, right? I get Freed and I get Anderson, but Freed hasn't pitched good at all in the playoffs, and Anderson pitched a good game the last time out. So that doesn't mean he's going to pitch a good game the next time out. So I'm going to do everything I can do to win this game in Atlanta, and I think they'll try to do that.
Yeah, I'll just close by going back to the Red Sox Houston series when the Sox took game 2 and then they took game 3. I talked about it at length where Houston had their back against the wall because they still weren't guaranteed to get back to Houston. And it took that ninth inning explosion in game 4 to say, all right, at least we know we're getting back to Houston, but they rode that momentum into game 5 and then obviously closed it out in game 6. Houston still doesn't know if they're getting back home. And Atlanta saw what the Houston did to the Red Sox. So I think it's kind of a tricky spot. It would be kind of comical, that the series ends on Halloween. The Braves go 8-0 in the playoffs. Baseball's done till spring training. And if they don't get a deal done, we'll be talking all winter stove and all winter praying because, this could get ugly in a sport that cannot take 10 steps back again. I mean,
it's not could. It's going to get ugly.
Yeah. And listen, this is the one sport on life support. It's got the old timers like us that enjoy the eat, sleep, drink, and poop this thing, from winter stove to spring training to 162 games. But this is not a young man's game. This is not the millennials' cup of tea. And you just can't do it. We suffered through the pandemic, a 60-game season. You had a good year this year. Let's not screw this thing up. And it's all about greed. It's all about, I want this, you want that. And it is going to get ugly. So part of me wants to see this go a little further. But again, I wouldn't be shocked if Atlanta wins today. But also, I wouldn't be shocked if, we're talking on Tuesday about a Game 7 matchup.
Well, I mean, if it goes back to Houston, I'm not saying that you can't sit here and go, well, now Houston's got the advantage. Well, because they don't. Until the series is 3-3, the Braves have the advantage. I mean, it doesn't matter, and it doesn't matter where they play, because the odds of them winning one game of the next 3 are pretty good. I mean, it's a pretty good chance that's going to happen. And then the odds of when you think about what Houston has to do, they have to win every game. They got to win out. And that doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to do that either. But can they? Their offense tells you that they can. Their pitching tells me they can't. So, and we talked about that before. That McCullers injury is a big deal to this team going into that. They don't have that guy that's the stopper, and then they don't have the guy that then puts it into the right, what I call slots. So, if you have McCullers that's the number one guy, then that slots your Garcia and your Valdez's and down to where they're not being relied on and counted on as much as what they are in the number 1 and number 2 spots that they were this time. That it's just like a batting order. It gives that rotation depth, but it matches up to the opponent a lot better, and it makes those guys it makes those matchups easier on the pitchers, because those pitchers really struggle, especially in this kind of limelight. It's amazing how you either have it or you don't when you go out there to the mound and you're in these spots. And what I mean is, just like not every day are you going to have your best stuff. You're just not. And they know that. Every pitcher knows that. But you got to find a way to get people out. And it's extremely magnified. Every at-bat, every pitch, every ball that's hit somewhere, it's magnified. And if you're the pitcher, you're in control. So if you're not able to mentally handle that amount of stress that's put onto you, it's a lot different. And that's where you have those stopper guys that they're just something else. They go out there and it don't matter, and they get you out. And that's just how it works.
Well, listen, everyone, it's Sunday. I like to call it family day, Sunday, fun day. It's not a day. Listen, if you haven't been following us and you're down a handful of units, it's not a day to press. It's not, you woke up this morning and you check where you're sitting. And listen, we're not saying to take a few stabs here and there, but listen, Sundays, if you're down 5, 6, 8 units and you expect to wake up in the morning and get it all back, well, God bless you. Good luck. We'd rather have you say, well, let's see if we can take a couple swings here, maybe get some of it back. And just remember that tomorrow is a new day. It's a new week. And actually tomorrow's a new month as well. So, these billion-dollar casinos and resorts are built on NFL Sundays. And if you don't believe me, just go check social media. And there's a lot of people out there that are selling you bridges right now that will tell you differently. So from myself and Scotty, we'll just quickly go over, Scotty talked, and same here. We're on the Colts early. Scotty is on the Patriots at 4:30. We're on them on the Circa Millions, and I talked about the Vikings. I have them in a money line parlay just to win. I'm going with the flip and saying Dak is not playing. I like them anyways if Dak was, but maybe Dak gives it a start and can't go. I don't know. But and then the World Series obviously tonight. So for myself, Jeff Dawson, Scott Webb, from the East Coast Sports Investors and the Breakfast Bankroll, we wish you the best of luck today. Have a blessed day. If you're wagering and have a problem, pick up the phone. There's an 800 number. Always remember this: to wager with your head, not your heart. Check that ego at the door as well. It does wonders when you can do that. So best of luck today. Enjoy the games. Maybe win a handful of tickets, and we will see you again tomorrow morning.